Hello, my name is Jeffrey, and on today's episode, we are doing a bit of a quick review, and that would, of course, be George Dickel, 13-year-old Bottled and Bond. Now, for those of you not familiar, and for those of you who, unfortunately, for whatever reason, haven't watched my Tennessee Whiskey episode, they would, of course, perhaps not know that George Dickel is one of the two major brands producing Tennessee whiskey, the other, of course, being John Daniels. The other, of course, being Jack Daniels. Now, in terms of its nose, I am getting a good bit of like a multivitamin, which is a common note that I find with George Dickel, this slightly off, somewhat medicinal-ish kind of note, not like a Campbelltown Isla medicinal kind of note. Does stay, oh, this smells like medicine. This smells like the kind of pills that you take. Oh, it smells like the Flintstones multivitamins that people would get as a kid, which it's not something inherently in my brain, so maybe I can imagine that, but I can't confirm that. I am getting a bit of hay, almost like wet hay, dry corn. If you look way behind that at the end, there's a little bit of a cherry kind of peeking its head through the door. But yeah, it's a not overly sweet, very much a upfront vitamin nose. Classic Dickel, I would argue. Contrasting that, the palate itself is rather sweet. This time, it started out with this quick flavoring, seasoning almost of the mouth, with this flavor of almost like peanut oil or heated up peanuts and just this kind of nuttiness, but it's not a direct kind of nut, if that makes any sense from the Dickel. It takes on a bit of a honey peppercorn flavor. Dry corn is still there. There is a mix of a peppery kind of tongue tickle, tongue tinge, and almost like a citrus peel kind of end, and it is the kind like a citrus zest, the pith mixed with the citrus oils kind of flying out as you cut it or express it into your artisanal cocktail. Right now I can imagine almost like the bitterness of the orange pith in the finish, leading me off in the palate, the more direct palate, more mid palate to be pretentiously nerdy. There is like a orange, this zing of there's just a zing of orange oil, although it almost is like the zing of a good lemon peel as well. It provides this dram with a good bit of tartness, and it's not acidic specifically on the nose, but it just has this more bright kind of atmosphere that develops the longer you sit with it, or at least that's been my experience, and as is the case today as well. Now, there are some odd notes that I do sometimes get that are peeking their head through in this equation. A kind of mix of Twizzler, almost a waxy kind of candy, essentially, not inherently Twizzler. It's almost what is it, like I'm forgetting the name of it. Is it Cecil Toffee maybe? It's like a boardwalk kind of snack almost. What I am getting as well is almost like this chalky candy, you know, like the hearts that have been sitting out, heart candy. That kind of smell, but with none of the sweetness, at least present in the aroma. Wrong word, but I hope you understand. Mentally, what I pictured while I took that most recent sip was dried grass. Grass that has been exposed to too much sun.
And I'm getting mighty tired of your trifling ways and of listening to that jackass Bray.
And very much for me on the finish, what develops is something of a cherry flavoring, but it's very nondescript as it is appearing today. What is happening, for me at least, is a hint of cherry that just kind of trickles down the tongue. Sweet, but not overly sweet, a good representation of Tennessee whiskey, and it is a solid buy if you ever can find it. It's not as common in New Jersey as I would like it to be. Guess what? This whiskey, $35. And for some more info, this was distilled in 2005, in the fall of 2005. It is a 13-year-old Tennessee whiskey, one of the most affordable buys, and one of the few, if not really the only prominent Tennessee whiskey, which is to say the only Tennessee whiskey you can buy outside of Tennessee with a age statement of such, you know, over 10 years, which doesn't seem like much, but where is it's the 10-year-old Jack Daniels? It's not really a thing. It's a bottled and bond product, so you can expect a certain level of quality. I would argue there is some indication that it will be perhaps good. Some have argued if you see Special Reserve, but that is less something that holds weight, at least in my world. But there are some amazing bourbons with that banner, such as David Nicholson Special Reserve. And what is one of the reasons why David Nicholson Special Reserve is so great? Well, it's because it's such an affordable buy. And if you're looking for an affordable buy that isn't just your standard Jack, you want to kick it up, you want to get something that's really going to give you an interesting experience, give you a taste of Tennessee, I've been Jeffrey Patron. Remember to hit the subscription button, or that came out wrong. Remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and that's about it. So, bye! Happy Whiskey Wednesday, I guess.